Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is May 12th, 2025, and it's reported that Barcelona are extremely outraged at what happened during the Clásico match in regards to that referee. Also, Raphinha is very close of sealing his contract renewal with the club. And finally, I do have bad news in regards to Pau Victor. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and we'll begin this video with great news because while we were all distracted with Barcelona's victory in the Clásico match and while we were all distracted with a horrible refereeing during the Clásico match, there was some news that went unnoticed or uncelebrated, even though I did mention it in the post-match live analysis, but I decided to mention it again because it deserves to be mentioned again because, ladies and gentlemen, the Barcelona Femeni are officially the champions of La Liga F, or the Women's Spanish League. They needed to defeat Real Betis in order to win the title, and not only did they defeat Real Betis, they destroyed Real Betis, winning 0-9, and now the Barcelona Femeni are officially champions of the Women's League with 81 points. And in second place, Real Madrid with 75 points, 6 points behind the Barcelona Femeni with one match left in the season. Now, to just highlight how amazing our women's team are and how dominant they are, this is their 10th La Liga title since the inception of the team, and it's the sixth La Liga title in a row, which just goes to show how dominant our amazing ladies are. Now, let's not forget the Barcelona Femeni have also won the Spanish Super Cup, the Women's Spanish Super Cup. They're in the final of the Copa de la Reina, and they're also in the final of the Champions League, or the Women's Champions League, which means that the Barcelona Femeni have a chance of winning yet another treble and make the total of trophies this season to 4. Now, to review the numbers of the Barcelona Femeni in La Liga F, in the Spanish Women's League, Barcelona Femeni have scored 125 goals and only conceded 60, with Eva Pajor, the Polish striker, being the top scorer of the team with 26 goals. Astonishing numbers by the Barcelona Femeni. And of course, speaking of Polish strikers, we do have to talk about Robert Lewandowski, because our Polish striker has some work to do, because since he missed El Clásico match because he just came back from injury, and with Mbappe's hat trick, Lewandowski is no longer the Pichichi, or the top scorer of the Spanish league. It's now Mbappe with 27 goals, with Robert Lewandowski sitting in second place with 25 goals. So Lewandowski has some work to do. He has 3 more matches against Espanyol, Villarreal, and Athletic Club de Bilbao, for him to regain his spot as the top scorer of La Liga. And my question to you is, do you think Robert Lewandowski will be able to regain the Pichichi? Let me know down below in the comment section. Now, while we're still on the topic of El Clásico match, of course, we all saw the horrendous robbery at the hands of Hernandez. I'm not going to go over all the horrible calls that he made because I already covered it plenty in the podcast and the post-match live analysis. I even made a special video, so I'm not going to go over it again. But nonetheless, it's reported that the Barcelona board of directors are extremely outraged and upset at what they saw, because even though Barcelona won, we cannot deny how horrible the refereeing was. And even though the board are very outraged at what they saw, it's reported that they are not planning to do anything. And the reason for that is that Barcelona want to look forward to winning La Liga. Of course, we have a chance of winning La Liga on Thursday against Espanyol in their stadium. So they kind of want to focus on La Liga and kind of divert the focus away from the negativity and from the refereeing, which, of course, I do understand. But at the same time, I don't agree, because enough is enough. How many times do we have to get robbed at the hands of referees before the board finally decides to do something? Like, for crying out loud, this is a great chance of doing something. You have momentum. All other La Liga clubs are sick and tired of Real Madrid TV campaign and how it's been putting pressure on the referees, where the referees are terrified of making any bad calls against Real Madrid because the Real Madrid media machinery is going to go after them. So this is our time to unite all these clubs, which, by the way, have been also robbed time and time again at the hands of referees. It's time to unite them and do something about this. But instead, the board of directors decides not to do anything. And at this point, I have to say, Mr. Laporta, I hope I don't hear you complaining about this anymore, because you've been complaining, but at some point, you need to stop complaining, get off your butt, and actually do something. So you either do something or you don't say anything. But enough with the complaining, because complaining without action, well, it's pretty much useless. Anyways, while we're still on the topic of El Clásico match, as you know, during the Barcelona versus Real Madrid match, there was a Real Madrid Academy player, Victor Munoz, who made his debut in El Clásico. He came out of Real Madrid Academy, an attacking midfielder who had a very clear chance around the 80th minute, but missed it. And now it's been revealed that Victor Munoz has had to turn off the comments on his Instagram because he has been bullied and abused severely by the Real Madrid fans, which I think it's absolutely disgusting that they are doing this to an academy player of their own. You know, instead of saying, hey, we lost El Clásico, but at least we got something to look forward to. We have a silver lining. We have this young, talented kid who looks promising. No, let's bully him. Let's mistreat him, even though people like Vinicius, who's supposed to be the Ballon d'Or, and people like Jude Bellingham, who's supposed to be the best midfielder in the world, didn't do anything. No, let's abuse the academy kid, which is absolutely disgusting. And by the way, Victor Munoz is actually a Barcelona Academy player. He was in La Masia from 2014 till 2017. He eventually left to the Real Madrid Academy, and then he debuted against Barcelona in Clásico. And by the way, this kind of behavior is not above Barcelona fans. Unfortunately, Barcelona fans have done the same thing to Ronald Araujo after the Inter Milan exit. They too abused him to the point where he had to turn off his comments, which to me is absolutely disgusting and despicable that people would do this. One thing is to criticize the player based on his performance and say, hey, this player is not good enough, or this player sucks. But to go after someone personally because of what they do and they don't do on a pitch, I think it's absolutely unacceptable. But unfortunately, that's where we are now in our society, with all these keyboard warriors who hide behind their screens and they feel emboldened by social media. It's absolutely reprehensible. But anyways, on to good news, because ladies and gentlemen, we do have good news because Coutinho is very, very, very close to renewing his contract. Now, the Brazilian player's contract expires in the summer of 2027, and after the amazing season that he's currently having, Barcelona decided that he deserves a contract extension. And as such, Barcelona began negotiating with Raphinha back in March. The negotiations have been going very smoothly, and it's reported that both parties are very, very close of finalizing this contract renewal, with Barcelona extending Raphinha's contract until 2029, and of course giving him a higher salary, putting him in the top salary tier of Barcelona. Which of course it's funny because there was so many reports stating, oh, Raphinha wants a lot more money, he wants to leave, Barcelona trying to sell him. And I told you guys, all of that was nonsense. Barcelona wanted Raphinha to stay, Raphinha wanted to stay as well. And while the two parties very, very close on finalizing this contract renewal. Now, from good news, we move on to bad news, because ladies and gentlemen, Pau Victor has decided that he's going to leave Barcelona during this summer. Now, Pau Victor has only played in 19 matches all across competitions, with only 2 starts. And with the majority of those 19 matches, playing just a few minutes here and there. And given the lack of minutes, Pau Victor has decided to search for an exit. He'd be looking for another club come this summer transfer market, which of course is bad news, because I did want to see Pau Victor, play more. I did want to see Pau Victor hopefully succeed in Barcelona, but unfortunately it did not happen. So he will be looking for an exit, which of course he won't have a problem finding one. There are plenty of La Liga clubs interested in him. And it's reported that Barcelona understand the player's position and as such are open to his exit. However, they want to reach some kind of agreement where they could still retain control of the player. So what does that mean? That would mean a loan, to another club where he can get minutes but then come back. If it's a permanent transfer, maybe retaining a buyback clause that would allow Barcelona to sign him down the road, or maybe even retaining an option to re-sign. So in other words, Barcelona understand that the player wants to leave. They're okay with him leaving, but they want to retain control where they would allow them to one day bring the player back if, of course, Pau Victor ends up, being this big star that can contribute to the team. Anyways, that is all the news for this video. I did do the podcast earlier today. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you do. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Visca Barça.